Greetings, commanders and or captains, this is Pagan Horde, and can you guess which ship we're going to be talking about just by its profile?
You are joining the Colonial Fleet, boys and girls, not some after-school club. Seats.
Now, I admit the old girl has a special place in my heart. That show came out in the early 2000s, where most science fiction out there was either cheesy or full of technobabble, like fluctuation in the quantum chamber kind of stuff. So here came that show that was more grounded, a bit of a darker story really too. And it ignited my love for harder hitting sci-fi, which led to Battletech amongst other. So let's take a look at the Galactica, the old girl. And there we go. Now I made this as big as you can. We are reaching the limit of length and width that you can do in Starfield. We also have to make a bit of compromise, of course, because the Galactica is in essence an air carrier warship not designed to land on the ground at all. In fact, one of the most interesting scenes in the series is when Commander Adama decided to gravity jump his entire warship into the atmosphere. It was one of the best scene in the series, really. So the compromise we do have to make with Starfield is that we do need landing gear, we do need a ramp, we do need a cockpit to make it work within that game. So let's pull her apart and see how I built this beauty. So there she is, pulled apart. Now I admit I would have loved to make her a bit longer, but we've reached the limit of the game. I would have loved to make the engine a bit farther back and the cockpit a bit further ahead, but we've reached the limit. So the interior will be composed mostly of Horde stuff, habitats, mostly because they fit the dull gray color of the color scheme we want. One other thing that I've done purposely is to put the workshop and the infirmary on the same floor, so those are your two main crafting stations. So that when you're accessing your own ship, it is useful to go from one to the other easily. The only exception to the Horde assembly will be this Demos docker. The docker needs to be on the highest point on the ship, and this assembly here simply worked well for this purpose. Now under we have a single companionway 1x1 so that it can connect to the landing bay and to be able to walk onto the ship. So, let's start with that. Let's start to take our landing bay and put it here in the back. So when you walk into the ship from the exterior, you're gonna go up here, and then you're gonna have a ladder, and you're gonna have your main floor. Next, we're gonna connect this big chunky cockpit. Now this is one of the two pieces that are exclusive to specific star yard. You need to travel to the Nova Galactic Star Yard to get this chunky boy. It is a massive cockpit with 2 floor and 6 hardpoint. So we're gonna go ahead and put this cockpit right in front, giving us the big chunky look, and it's also very practical. Next we're gonna connect to the 2 wings or slash compartment of the Galactica. In the movie and TV series, these retractable wings are where you can launch your fighter pilots into the action. But to make it fit into Starfield, we're gonna use these as landing bays. So I have 2 landing gear port here. Throughout include landing gear as well as shielded cargo hold. The precious shielded cargo hold is gonna be both practical and fit the profile we're attempting to make. And we're going to use another exclusive item that you need to go to Horde with, the Horde Star Yard, and these are these cross braces. These cross braces permits you to walk through them and to reach this habitat here on the side. So it is both aesthetic and practical to use this way. We're going to put the shield here. The shield doesn't really fit the Galactica aesthetics, but it is one of those compromises we need to do. So I'm gonna pick up the whole wheel assembly like this, with both the cross brace and the landing gear, and we're gonna put it right here. There we go. We're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. This is a copy paste with the landing gear, the shielded cargo hold, and the braces. Now these two here, structure for flavor, are demos calling aft and fore. Very good, now we're starting to take shape. But before we go further into the tail, let's go under the belly of the beast. Now to add more padding and also add some precious cargo, we're going to use 2 of those Polo 2030 cargo hold. They're going to fit right well under the belly of the beast. And then we're going to add some demos hull for just padding. Those are just structural. And that's going to create the belly of the beast, as well as adding another 2,000 cargo for a total of 3,600, which is quite reasonable. After that, we're gonna hit our helium tanks with these 500T here in another Demos hull A. We're gonna hide this inside the spine there, like this. And we're gonna hide it by putting some HopeTech cap. Those are just structural. We're gonna put this on top. There we go. So we're hiding the helium fuel inside here, inside the structural. And we're starting to have the iconic look. Alright, for the engine assembly, typically the Galactica has 4 big engines on the back. So I use some of those Dunn 71 engine. And I used some HopeTech riser hay to create the separation between the 4 pods. I will also be hiding both the grav drive and the reactor and the same engine assembly. We're gonna add a structural Nova cowling. This is just aesthetics, as well as a nose for here to create the rounded shape of the back engine. We also have to compromise by putting down a landing gear in the back. So there we go. That's where we're gonna put our landing gear under the engine assembly. There we go. Now I would have loved to put the engine a bit like 1 Lego block farther, but I cannot. This is the limit of the game. So on the other side, it's copy paste, except this time it's going to be the reactor that's going to be hidden this way. There we go. We're starting to get the look. After that, well, it's more structural stuff, just to give it the iconic nose look. I'll be using some Stroud nose cap, as well as 2 little nose here in the back to complete the top aesthetic look. There we go. And we do have to add another compromise of landing gear in the front. There we go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I created the Galactica. I would have loved to be a bit longer, like I said, to put the engine 1 Lego block farther apart. But I've reached the limit of Starfield. For weaponry, I am biased toward disruptors, so I will be using those again. I understand that typically the Galactica would have plenty of turrets, which is a choice, of course. Turrets. There is turrets inside that game. However, I am biased toward disruptor. That is my personal choice. So I'm gonna add 6 disruptor total, which will give us plenty of weapons. So there she is, the Galactica. I'm gonna do a inside tour, and then we're gonna take her for a spin See how she performs out there. Let's take a little look at the inside. This is the big chunky cockpit I was talking about. We have access to both floors right away, which is pretty darn cool. If we go on the first floor, we're gonna have access to our infirmary right away with the pharmaceutical lab. And these here are the cross braces that I was talking about. This gives us access to the wing assembly here on the side. We're gonna have both wing assembly available just like this. There we go. This gives it a very practical interior and the ability to access both floors straight from the cockpit. There we go. Without using ladders, because ladders do suck. So let's take her for a spin. And let's see what she has, shall we? There you go. Good girl's going up.
So say we all.
So say we all!
So say we all.
So say we all!
Okay, what do we see? I went out looking for trouble. Let's see if we can find some. It looks surprisingly calm. Oh, there we go. Hi there. How are you doing? How are you doing? Hiding amongst the debris, I see. It is time for your judgment indeed. No problem there. Shield at half strength after killing 3 of them. Come on. Show me. There we go. I think she's doing just fine. So that's it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you about the Galactica. I think that's a pretty solid build. And I'm really, like I said, I'm really fond of the old girl. So I'm quite happy that I can bring her alive. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching until the end. Please do some YouTube stuff, and I will see you next time. Thank you.